Hey guys, what's up? It's Stacking Chairs, the youth ministry podcast all about serving in youth ministry, whether it be youth group or youth camp, whatever God has you serving in, that's what we're talking about. I'm one of your hosts, Josh Paul Hamus. I'm joined by my fellow host and a friend.
It's me, Kyle. Hey, Josh, just in case you don't realize it, today I thought I would, sometimes you have work attire. Sometimes you have weekend attire. Sometimes you have sleeping, being lazy all day attire. Today I thought I would dress up like a plumber.
Like a plumber. Just
a plumber.
Some ambiguous plumber.
Random.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're not watching, you should. On our fellowship YouTube channel, you can see Kyle is dressed up as a genuine New York plumber.
Or Chicago.
Or Chicago.
I'm not really.
I mean, they're
I'm not
from
really
New
sure.
York. I'm assuming.
Are they?
Yeah.
Where are they from?
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
All
you
right.
don't know the lore of generic plumber?
of generic unnamed plumber.
He jumps on an iguana and rides around in the sewers. You don't know about that?
Does he run into the mid-adolescent radioactive
spiky turtle?
spiky
turtle?
Reptilians?
Yeah.
Shelled reptilians?
Jumps on them and yeah. But if you are watching, you'll notice that Kyle is dressed up for what churches call Harvest Day.
Or Hallelujah.
Or Hallelujah Day.
Hallelujah. Yeah, this is my Hallelujah outfit.
Yeah, but it's topical, and so you know what, we're running. I didn't get the memo, and so I didn't dress up today.
You didn't get the memo?
I didn't get the memo.
I thought you were dressed up like the rational consumer.
I am. I'm dressed up as the rational consumer. I'm dressed up as a Word of Life alumni.
You are.
Yep.
And
Actually,
Josh, you embody the Word of Life alumni every day. Every day is a Hallelujah Day for you because you look like a Word of Life alumni.
I mean, because I am.
Yeah.
We're having an event tonight that we call Love Thy Neighbor. And so we pass out candy and if you guys don't realize, we're recording on the 31st of October today, which is also Reformation Day. So, you can celebrate that too.
I'm saying I'm going to plumb the junk out of people's bad theology.
Yeah. And so you reformed so perfect. But we are tonight for our event at our church, we go to individual homes and then we pass out candy and then we have like individual parties at houses from people within the church. So we pass out candy, pass out tracts, and
so
just
you guys
start
dress
conversations.
Up and you,
and
you hand out candy.
Yeah, it's harvest.
That's Hallelujah.
It's Hallelujah.
That's,
yeah. Anyway, so we're talking about events today, and
I want to know how many people out there saw me dressed like this and clicked on the episode just because they were like,
I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna change the thumbnail because usually I just do like a generic thumbnail. Yeah. I'm gonna make this one like we're gonna take a picture of you afterwards and have you like popping out or something and see if we can get people to. We'll even change it on the Spotify and everything.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll go all out
nice.
today.
I love it.
But yeah, so aside from Hallelujah, Harvest, Fall, unspecified days, because, not everybody celebrates the same days.
Yeah, they don't. But Josh, here's what I was thinking. And we've been talking about why do we do what we do?
Yeah.
Right? And we've talked a lot about different events. Mm-hmm. We've talked a lot about the purpose of events. We've talked about the planning of events. But we've never actually spoken about one of the events.
Yeah, we always talk about the rationale or the things surrounding the event.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the event and then also what's surrounding the event as well.
Yeah.
Because an event that's coming up for us at Word of Life
is Reverb.
Yeah.
Which is an event that you and I both attended.
Oh, yeah. I grew up
Possibly, we've talked about this multiple times recently, possibly at the same event, just in different age brackets and standing.
You were probably running the event as program, and I was probably there as a student in Johnstown.
Yeah, like did I ever tell you about the time that I handed out, I read the ticket number and I disappointed one boy. He thought he was getting an Xbox, and
I think so.
It boiled down to two people, and the other kid got the Xbox, and his friends came and found me in the Binghamton sports complex, and they're like, "You robbed our friend of an Xbox."
Well, tell him how you, because I remember the
so we get down to the end, and they always read the ticket numbers, and it was I'm just gonna make a number, 4, 8, 15, 27, and so I said the number is 4, 1, 8, 1, 5, 2. Who we got? And there were two kids left. And I was like, all right, the number is 4. And this kid thought he won. And I was like, 4, 1, 8, 1, 5, 2, 7. And it was the one other kid.
Oh.
So that both came running down. Both were really, really excited. And one walked away. Both walked away with this, with an emotion. One sheer, depression. One elation. So the one that was all upset, his friends and him, cornered me in a hallway, and they're like, you robbed our friend of an Xbox. And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, you read the number, and then you read the number wrong. And I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, you went back through the number. I said, no, that's what I said. I said, and the number is, starting from the beginning, 4. And they, And so I said, well, I've got a box of candy in my bag. And they're like, we'll take it. And I was like, how in the world is that?
14-year-old like kids.
Yeah.
Like, you promise them an Xbox and they're all upset, and then, well, maybe it's less. Maybe that's a different generational thing. I feel like back then, 14-year-old kids would be like, I wanted an Xbox, and you go, well, I have all this candy, and they're like, fantastic, and they run off.
Yeah, I still think that immediate gratification.
You think that'll work?
Oh, absolutely. So I regularly
we test this out.
So when we have prize tables out there, in fact, youth pastors, when we have prize tables out, I have watched kids choose over maybe not something as big as an Xbox.
Yeah, that's an easy one.
But remember when MP3 players were like all the rave?
Yeah.
I regularly watched kids choose cases of Mountain Dew and candy over an MP3 player.
That's fair. Honestly, I might have too. Also, do you remember how like the CDs? I remember on the bus, I used to have a CD player, and I'd pick the CD I wanted to listen to that day. And if you wanted to skip songs, you would mess up the CD because every time you hit a bump on the bus, it would skip the song and restart it. So you had to like hold a button that would like memorize the song or whatever, but you couldn't skip any songs then. Do you ever remember that being the case? You know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
There was like a
that.
button for it in the CD so that it wouldn't skip when you'd like hit bumps and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first got the MP3 player, like being so thrilled because I was like shaking it, and I'm like, it's not gonna hit any bumps and not skip songs. I'm so
awesome.
thrilled.
So the event originally, gosh, I don't know. Can I give you the history?
Let's hear it.
So the event originally was started by this guy named Doug Bagg. They used to do bowling marathons or bowl-a-thons, and they have like basketball marathon, volleyball marathon. I want to say it was back in the 80s. I actually have a card when I went to Texas. The guy that was discipling me at the time gave me a card that was the original picture, and hey, this is what happened. Yeah. This is how many kids were at it.
Oh, cool.
It was this massive event. The very first year was this massive event. But here's what had happened. He had built up these bowl-a-thons to like capacity. Yeah. And he had all these different kids going to these, and again, like I said, it was like a volleyball marathon or a basketball marathon. It was like a bowling marathon. And he was like, dude, let's just do this one big event and then let's spread out. And he somehow got in contact with the guy from the Dallas Mavericks, and and they let them use one of their like almost ballrooms afterwards. Okay. I don't know. I don't think they played games on the court. But
which is a part of.
But he said, hey, this is like it's not a bowl-a-thon. It's like bigger. It's a Super Bowl. And so that's why he called it Super Bowl, because it came off of bowl-a-thon.
That's funny.
And they called it Super Bowl for a really long time.
Yeah.
And then we decided, it was around the time that people started to get all hype about like you can't say on like the radio. Remember when they couldn't say that word?
Super Bowl?
There's a part of time where like you could legally not say.
Oh, because the NFL. Well, the NFL's always like, this is the express use for our audience. Yeah. Any replication, is like illegal. Blah blah blah. And so that's probably why. It's because we started to probably get like nervous about getting smacked for it.
So we decided to transition the word from Super Bowl to reverb,
which must have been in like what 2014, 15.
I want to say it was earlier than that because I was here. Maybe? And I want to say it was either earlier than that. I believe it. So I remember being at an event with all other Word of Life missionaries, area missionaries, with Word of Life clubs. We're talking about that. Yeah. We were local church ministries by then, but and we talked about, well, let's change the name. And we all met, and they had an event in the north that they all met, and we all came up with like a couple different ideas. And somewhere the idea was, well, let's call it Reverb, so we have an event that ought to not stop there, but send reverberations across the rest of your.
Honestly, and making that name change made so much sense. I remember when I first heard it. I don't remember how old I was then, because I thought it was when I was in college, but I must have been in high school still. But I remember hearing the name change and being like, "Oh yeah, that makes a ton of sense." Because every time I invite my friends to Super Bowl, they're confused.
They're like, "We're going to the Super Bowl?"
Yeah, exactly. And it's like it's also not around the same time, but it's a couple months before. Right. So it's like, what are you talking about? The Super Bowl, like. Yeah. But no, it is cool to see how like the history, how it's changed into reverb. So
Doug, let me ask you this. Okay, no, go ahead.
I was just curious. So like Doug changed it to Super Bowl.
Yep.
And then it like just kind of carries on.
And then they continue other areas where like, hey, we could do that. We could do that.
Yeah.
So Josh, why don't you walk us through the major portions of the event, which is actually,
oh yeah. Oh, you want me to like read it instead?
Well, you don't have to read
I was gonna
it.
do it from memory.
Oh, you know it.
I do know it.
Just in case you were like,
yeah, now I'm nervous that I'm going to get it wrong.
Yeah.
No, so if you guys don't know about Reverb is, an event where you invite people, they all come together, usually as a youth group, not usually as an individual. I don't think I've ever really seen a lot.
I don't know if individuals can show up. I could be wrong.
It's typically group rates.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
But anyway, so you come to the event and it's at either a hockey arena or a basketball game or usually just those, except for Atlanta, they do they just do it in like a big stadium.
Yeah, they do like although this year they're partnering with the Harlem Globetrotters. So they're still doing
really?
Yeah, they're doing a basketball game.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
With the Globetrotters?
Yeah.
For real?
Mm-hmm.
Like just like a private one? They can do that?
I almost just started whistling the Andy Griffith tune, trying to remember
Harlem Globetrotters.
Sweet Georgia Brown. Which
You're not messing with me though?
I'm not messing with you.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you could go to Atlanta and see the Harlem Globetrotters, which is pretty cool. And so you go to one of those events, you watch the game, and so the tickets are included in the price. You watch the game, and then afterward, everybody leaves the arena who's there for just the game normally. And then you have like a presentation, or you do a bunch of games, and then they have giveaways. They'll give away like Xboxes, like Kyle talked about, and TVs. They gave away a car one time, like crazy stuff. People donate things, and then often, they'll just give it all away. And then the cool part is that you have a moment where they share the gospel, and then they invite people to respond to the gospel. And then we have people who are volunteers from local communities, typically, who are in the back, typically BI students as well, Bible Institute, who are counseling and helping kids understand, okay, this is what you said you chose to believe. Let's talk about that. And so follow up and then making sure that they're connected back with their group, which is typically a church. And so then we pass them back
so
on
then they
discipleship.
Can have follow up,
And then from there, it doesn't stop. You go, and there are typically 3 venues that you cycle between every 2 hours. It's typically something like bowling, or it's a sports complex, or it is like ice skating, or go-karts, or an arcade.
or like a jump zone.
Yep. You go to like a trampoline park.
Yeah.
So you cycle through one of 3 places, and you do one every 2 hours until 6 a.m, and then you drive home.
Yeah.
And it is the most wild all-nighter.
Yeah.
And it's...
Well, and to think about it, that you get the chance to partner with Harlem Globetrotters.
Yeah.
Right there.
That's crazy. Yeah. I did not know that.
Cool. Pretty cool. Atlanta, Reverb.
Yeah.
Harlem Globetrotters.
Which now we have, how many locations now?
13. This year's 13. Some years we've done more. Some years we've done less.
We're in California this year, too.
We are in California. So we actually have already had the one in California.
Oh, you're right. It just
already
happened. You're right. I forgot about that.
They had it was their very first year. They had just around or just over 400 people at this thing, which for the first one.
Yeah, that's a blast,
Our first one in Texas, years later, the only one that we ran, which I think we ran. So we left Texas in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember if we were calling it Reverb. So maybe you're right. Maybe it was 2015.
Maybe it was later. I remember it being, I thought I remembered it being while I was in college, them changing the name.
Anyways, so, but we didn't, our first one, we didn't even have 400 people.
You said 11.
And that was we had 11. Did you say?
For real?
No, we didn't have 11. I thought you said we had 11.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, so we went to a Dallas Mavericks game for a while. The Dallas Desperados, the arena football team, was like, hey, we've heard about this event.
They reached out to you.
Oh, absolutely. It was, dude.
Well, because it's free tickets.
That event was massive.
Or it's not free tickets. It's like expected tickets then. Like they can sell and expect 400 people.
Right. So to them, it's quote unquote free tickets.
400 people who weren't going to be
We
there.
don't get free tickets. We absolutely do not get free tickets.
Yeah, they pay for the tickets.
But yeah, so it's all-night student ministries evangelistic event, designed and set up to share the gospel with your friends, and then the rest of the night to continue those gospel-centered conversations. What I love, Josh, is there are sometimes we see just as many students trust Christ throughout the rest of the night as we did at that gospel presentation moment.
Yeah.
Because so many students today want to be engaged in a conversation, not just have a presentation.
No, and you're right. And it is cool because God's word does not come back void, right? No. I mean, the Lord puts that in front of them through the vessels that we have, who are up there preaching, and it's gonna catch the attention of some kid's heart, and that's why I think oftentimes the groups who come miss the point of the event, and like we talk about all the time, it's important to have fun. It's important to have a good time. And Reverb is a good time.
Well, and to your point, but which I think is what you're directing at, it's important to have fun for your group.
Yes, absolutely.
That's what you're saying,
yeah,
right? Yeah,
it is. But the power of bringing somebody, you know, the phrase we use at camp up in New York, which was breaking down walls to build up lives.
Yeah.
Like, in my mind, Reverb is one of those things that can break down a wall. And it's a big one, too. I mean, Reverb's a cannonball. It's an insane event. And you'll find, I think we always assume that teenagers of today aren't going to be interested in going to an all-night event like this.
They are.
But the kids in our youth group are always like, oh, I wish we could do, and they always want to do something crazy, like, you know, like on an all-night event, or they want to do paintball. Like, they want to go out and do something.
Yeah.
And you can invite, like, I think people miss the point to what I was trying to get to earlier. People miss the point of you want to encourage your students to invite their friends, because it's a low risk place to invite your friend to come and have a good time where they also can hear the gospel.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then that baseline is set for them. And then those conversations are going to happen. So you have a kid who's been dedicated to, man, I'm really trying to get, like, show the love of Christ to my one friend.
Right.
But I'm scared to actually start the conversation of the gospel. Well, you bring them to a place where they hear the gospel, and then they go, wait, this is what you believe? And they ask you questions. Open opportunity. And you have youth leaders there who can help you. You have volunteers.
And so to your point, so many groups miss out because they don't invite unsaved students.
Yeah.
Like if I can just step out on a potentially for some people shaky branch, but I'm fine with it. If it's an all-night student ministries evangelistic event, and your kids that know Jesus outnumber your kids that don't know Jesus, more than 5 to 1, you got a problem.
Yeah.
Now,
right.
I get it. It's hard. You cannot force the unsaved or unchurched to come to these events. No. You can't. I think you ought to charge something. There's some people that are like, well, make it free. Well, don't make it free, because if it costs me nothing, then the last minute I can drop out.
Yeah.
And I understand that life happens. I understand for some of these events, these are around, and I've had guys say, well, it's around sports time. It's around, football games, and it's around, okay, fine. But do me a favor. If that whole event that is designed and built up to share Christ for your friends, with your friends' friends, and they're not bringing their unchurched, unsaved friends out to, do yourself a favor and see, hey, the last time we ran several events, even in-house, were they inviting the lost? And if they're not, you have a problem.
Well, and that's the thing. We were talking about this before, is how do you build gospel urgency in your students? Because, I mean, they might not care to share the good news with their friends. And at some point you're like, okay, well, maybe that kid's not actually saved. Maybe he doesn't understand the depth of what he has. But honestly, there's also the side of, when I talk to 15 and 16-year-old kids, the number one thing I hear from them is like, I love Jesus, and I'm really excited for him to come back, and I'm looking forward to his return. But I remember being 16 years old, and my answer and their answer that they give to me is, but I haven't really lived yet. Like, I haven't gone and gotten married yet. I haven't gone and bought a house yet. I haven't gotten a job yet. Like, I haven't explored life yet. I'm going to miss out on all those things.
Yep.
And I think sometimes that translates from the side of what they think they fear they're going to miss out on, and it translates into a lack of gospel urgency then as well, because they're not focused on that anymore, because they're focused on what's the future hold. And it's part of me can't really blame them, because I did the same thing. I didn't really gain my gospel urgency. I mean, I did in pieces, but I always did it through a program. Like, I did Child Evangelism Fellowship, which meant that in my mind, I didn't have to share the gospel with my friends. I didn't have to spend the time in my personal time, because I've already checked that box.
Right.
And that was in high school. Right. And I was thankful to do that. I had a mentality of, people need to hear the gospel. Yeah. But it's okay, well, then this is God's time, and then I've checked the box, and then this is my time.
So the thing that I hear is, I don't have any unsaved friends.
And I
don't have any unsaved friends. Why? Hey, man, you guys, you need to invite your lost friends out to hear that. I don't have any lost friends.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these kids, they're going to Christian schools, and then they're going to church, and then that's the extent of their friends.
Yeah, or they're homeschooled, and they get together with their homeschool co-op.
Well, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, so a lot of times the fault comes in of, we have not, in our desire to protect our kids from the world, we've actually lost the opportunity to share
reach the
Christ
world.
with the world.
Yeah. And I think, here's the thing, there's a reasonable, especially as a parent now, I understand this more. There's a reasonable concern for.
Yeah, your daughter doesn't even go to the grocery store. That's how she'll take it.
No, but there's a reasonable concern of like, okay, I'm going to send my daughter to a school. And when I send her to that school, she's either going to be an influencer or an influenced.
Right.
And I think parents are reasonably concerned because the voice of the world is much louder than the voice of the parent, especially when they're far away from them. And so I think parents are concerned. So how do you do we challenge our parents to, I mean, if you're worried, you send your kids to this Christian school, which by the way, if you think that all the kids in the Christian school are saved, then, you're wrong.
Segue.
But I mean, if your kid's homeschooled and then also just goes to church, even the kids that they're friends with at church aren't all saved.
Right.
And so there are people in their lives, but I think maybe, is it gospel literacy that would kind of help?
I definitely think it's gospel literacy. I definitely think it's gospel fluency. I think it's definitely gospel urgency, which those are three totally different things.
You're right.
Number one, if I don't understand the gospel for myself, how in the world am I going to communicate it to other people, and why in the world would I want to communicate it to people? Number two, I can understand the gospel, but I don't know how to communicate it to other people. Well, if I don't feel equipped to be able to communicate it to other people, I'm not going to have the urgency to share it with other people. Yeah. I think the urgency comes more from gospel. You're gonna have to press pause on this because I literally just went blank. Gospel literacy, gospel fluency. Okay, all right. So I think
I'm gonna leave all that.
Don't.
Yeah. It's so funny when we do.
Literally,
because then they get to hear.
I'm staring at you, and my mind just went totally blank.
And the whole time, I was thinking to myself, I'm going to leave this in.
Wow.
Listen, you guys get to be a part of this conversation all the way through. Now there are times I cut things out anyway. So to your point, though, also, if we're gonna derail for a second, I don't know if you can tell, I'm so tired.
Wait, are you cutting this out now or what?
No, I'm leaving it in. Do you see me keep yawning?
Yeah.
I'm so tired. My 2-year-old she doesn't sleep, and then finally she slept last night, and I still ended up.
You know what the problem is? She doesn't have gospel literacy.
That has to be it. I pray every night.
She doesn't have sleep literacy.
That is true.
So you are missing out on sleep fluency.
Yeah.
But now you're experiencing sleep urgency.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So again, if I cannot express it, and if I don't understand, my friends are lost and are going to hell.
Yeah.
Or the world around me. Like I remember there's a great video out there, and this is going to sound a little strange, but there's a great video out there by Penn and Teller. I think it's Teller.
Okay.
Is he the one that talks? One of them doesn't talk.
I know the name, but I don't know who they are.
Anyways. The one of the guys from Penn and Teller, the one with the long black hair, he does a little video after a lot of his shows, and he says, I love to talk to people, I love to sign things, I love to interact with them, and I will get people that will come up, and he uses the word proselytize. The people come up and proselytize me, and they tried to, and listen, here's the deal: I don't agree with the religion, I don't believe in God. I think the religion and God has done more damage for the world and history than good. He said, but I've always said, if you say you believe something, and you don't preach about it, he doesn't say preach, proselytize about it.
Yeah.
Do you really believe it?
That is honest, and that's something that.
Like he said this guy came up. He said he handed him a pocket New Testament. He said he thanked him for the show. He talked about a couple different things that he did, and he said, "Hey, but I want to give you this, and I want to share with you." And he shared with him the gospel, I guess. And he said he was a very nice man. He wasn't pushy. He shared with me. He shared with him the truth. And then he walked away. He goes, I have more respect for that man than people that come and rail on me or people that don't say anything at all. But I actually even have more respect, and he did not, I'm not quoting him at this point, but it's kind of like he has more respect for the people that rail on him than the people that don't say anything.
Yeah, because at least they back up what they say.
He said, if I'm stepping out into the street and you believe that there is a car that is coming to strike me, and you don't love me enough to push me out of the way or to say something to me, don't tell me you love me.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And that's something that's convicted me a lot too. Because I told the story the other day where we were just waiting at the airport at the parking lot or at the cell phone lot.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to present the gospel to this person. Like she started a conversation. I was like, all right. Like, Lord, I can feel it. Yeah. And I got super anxious about it because, it's not often that I'm just with a random person and get the chance to share the gospel. And Usually it's people that I've built connections with over time, and then I try and share the gospel with them. But, it's if I believe what I say I believe, and that's something then I need to share it. And that's something that is also true for even like our youth kids. I mean, we always talk about this of, they're not going to do what you're not doing. Like if you say, hey guys, you need to spend time in the Word, and you're not spending time in the Word.
Right.
What good is that?
Right.
That's actually the challenge. I lead the home group.
Yeah.
At our church, and we just talked about this on Sunday, and I said, okay, guys, this week I'm going to, because we were talking about like how do we all spend time in the Word with our families? How do we lead our families in that way? And I was like, you know what? This week, 3 times this week, I am going to text the group, and I'm going to tell you what I got in the Word this morning.
Yeah.
And then if you guys want to share as well, but like the challenge is spend time in the Word and share it with at least one person. And that was something Jack Wharton always said too. He goes, you haven't finished your quiet time
until you shared it with somebody. Well, and so that's where when I was working with local church ministries, I would tell youth pastors all the time, especially when you're kicking off quiet time. Mm-hmm. When you're kicking off quiet time, you got to talk about it from the pulpit.
Yeah.
You've got to talk about it in your announcements. Mm-hmm. You got to talk about it in your small groups, and you got to talk about it outside. And it's like, oh my goodness, like, that's just so much work. And I'm like, do you want your kids to do this or not? Because if all you do is talk about it from the pulpit, but they don't see it impacting your life, and you don't talk about it in small groups, you're hindering the process. Well, if all you do is talk about it from, hey, what I'm getting out of it, but you don't interact with students in small groups, or you don't talk about it in announcements, and you don't talk about it outside, again, all you're doing is you're hindering the process. Well, again, if all you do is talk about it in small groups, you could do it in one of those 4 ways.
Yeah.
But adding it in enhances the emphasis on it.
Well, that's marketing 101.
Well, exactly. So now let's talk about sharing the gospel. Mm-hmm. Well, nobody would sit here and say, oh, it's more important to read the Bible than to share the gospel, or it's more important to share the gospel than to read the Bible. Both of them are vitally important.
Yeah.
But how many times do we just talk about, hey, you should share Christ with your friends from announcements, or we just talk about you should share Christ with your friends from the pulpit, or just share with, hey, you should in small groups? Like, again, if we are building these things with these students, you got to interact with them.
Yeah.
You've got to show that it's a priority. So a couple of years ago, we decided at camp that teaching kids to share the gospel, we used to do a seminar, sharing the gospel seminar, and we put it in the afternoons, and you had to choose between free time, like sports tournaments, games and activities, free time, paintball, tubing. You had to choose between that or going to the gospel seminar.
Oh man, as a teenager, I couldn't tell you what I would have chosen, and I probably would have chosen the games and stuff. But that's
absolutely
yeah.
Well, now you got a kid that really wants to even go, and they were scheduled by us to do paintball during the gospel seminar.
Oh.
So now we're even working against our own system. Okay?
So what'd you guys do?
So what we decided was, and this was probably, I want to say 5-6 years ago.
Okay.
We decided that we would, halfway through the week, one day, I think we do it Tuesdays and Wednesdays or Tuesdays and Thursdays, we pull either all the guys and then all the girls, or all the red team and then all the blue team. Mm-hmm. And we say, okay, during the game time, we're going to make this a fun, energetic, engaging seminar.
Yeah.
But you come up here and you are taught how to share the gospel. And we've done it the same exact way, which here's the deal. I know there's multiple ways to share this, but we've done it through the Life in 6 Words.
Oh, yeah.
GOSPEL.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's it there. And then I say to the youth pastors, go home and reinforce that.
Yeah. And Dare to Share makes it so easy too.
Easy.
If we can give it like a free plug, Dare to Share is such an invaluable resource to you as a youth minister. And ever since Word of Life has started partnering with them,
I think we're better.
Yeah, I've noticed an invigoration within just the ranks of Word of Life, because we have something that we don't have to create. It's something that we've come alongside because we value what they're also sharing. So like Word of Life, we've always kind of prided ourselves in building everything. And then when we came alongside Dare to Share, where they were like, hey, we built this app, we built this resource.
And we're like, this is so much better than we could create right now. Yeah,
let's use this resource. And we actually, I remember during a worldwide event that we were a part of, we had people say, well, why aren't we building our own app? Like, where's our representation? Where's our logo on this? Like, so that way we can draw people to Word of Life so they can continue their journey with the Lord. Like, and they came from a good place in that. But, Chris Stout, who's the VP over that ministry, was like, he's like, no, like we don't need our name out there. Like people are coming to Christ, and we're going to come alongside them after that.
Absolutely.
And so it's like, both and.
Right. So now let's go back to the purpose of this event. The purpose of Reverb is to equip your students with an opportunity to share Christ with their friends. We cannot say to these students that they are God's plan to reach their friends for the gospel if we are not emphasizing with them, talking with them, like, you know, not coercing them, but,
no, of course not.
Emphasizing with them, hey, which of your friends that don't know Christ are going to come to Reverb with you?
Yeah.
I used to talk to guys all the time. Now, I say all the time. We only did Reverb once or Super Bowl once in Texas because after that, then we left. But I would tell guys all the time, listen, you've got a big event typically every fall. A lot of guys used to see you at the pole.
Yep.
And afterwards they would do an event and they would share Christ and I'd be able to come in and speak or other people come and speak. But it was kind of, okay, what are you doing leading up to that? And so I would tell guys, hey, why don't you do like a month before this event?
Yeah.
Why don't you do a smaller, just your church gospel event that you're building? So 4 weeks before, hey, who are your top 10 list of friends that you want to pray to invite to this event? How can we start praying for them?
Yeah.
And then, 3 weeks out, hey, how are you inviting them? 2 weeks out, how are you like making sure that you're locking in them? And then boom, night of the event. And then at that night of the event, hey guys, in a month, we're going to do another thing. We're going to go to Reverb. We're going to, and I've watched guys build the excitement. Well, you go, well, I don't want to do that. Okay, fine. But how are you? And if all you're doing, hey guys, I need you to sign up for Reverb, and you need to make sure, hey, let me know if any of your friends want to go. It's a great time.
Yeah.
They're going to share the gospel, so it'll be a great time to invite your friends. It'll be great. Hey, here's a video. Cool. So again, guys, really important that you invite your friends. But it'd be great. Hey guys, I need your information. I need your money. No, I've just partnered all the information together.
Yeah.
What's important in that? Well, the important in that is that you know when it is. The important in that is that you know how much it is. The important that is you got to get permission from your parents. Oh, and the important also is you need to talk to your friends. Well, if all of that is important.
Yeah, nothing's important.
Nothing's important.
Yeah, if everyone's super, nobody is. No,
thank you.
Nobody is. Which one is it? I think it's no one will be.
Nobody is.
I'm going to look that up later.
Michael, can you fact check us? What? When everyone will be super,
no one will be.
Yeah, but when you said when everybody is,
we'll look it up. Michael doesn't know.
Wrong.
Michael doesn't know.
Segue.
Anyway, so Reverb's really important.
Reverb's really important, but again, I think. Okay, strange question. How weird would it be if you threw a birthday party and that person didn't show up?
The person for the birthday?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would probably be uncomfortable.
Okay, number 2. How weird would it be if you threw a 16-year-old's birthday party, which, let's be honest, pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And none of their friends really showed up. Like you organized it. Like for instance, when my wife and I, prior to us getting married, my mom threw my wife a wedding shower.
Oh, yeah.
My wife is from the island of Bermuda.
Yeah.
In Pennsylvania with all of my mom's friends.
Yeah.
And my mom, like 3 weeks out, was like, hey, if you have anybody you want to invite, you go and invite them to this. I think my wife maybe had like 2 friends there. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But it was an event for my wife that like none of her friends were there.
Yeah. That's why you do a couple.
But that's what I think we're doing with Reverb.
Yeah.
We have an event for the lost, and the lost are not invited. Did you know that there are actually some churches, and there may even be some churches that are listening right now, that they have not invited the lost to Reverb in years, or they've invited them and they haven't come. Guys, like, that's the purpose of the event.
Yeah. Which maybe, here's the thing, there might be some truth to.
And I'm not sorry if I've just offended you.
Well, there might be some truth to also.
I love you.
Maybe we as Word of Life need to do a better job of communicating that it's an evangelistic event.
Listen, Josh, there are scholarships for kids that don't know Christ.
No, I know. I'm not advocating for saying, or I'm not saying that we don't do those things, but I'm saying, like, I know it's hard out there for you guys, and I'm not giving you a pass either. I'm on Kyle's side on this one. Like, you do need to be inviting.
You're on the other side of the table. Don't tell me. I literally thought, how crazy would it be if I like get up and like storm out the episode that Kyle storms out?
Just clickbait over the whole thing. No, but like, it is important. Like, I think we need to even continue to emphasize, but I think it's important that you as youth leaders, you know the event enough that you know the purpose of the event.
Right.
And so I think there's a challenge in there for you. If you don't know what the purpose of the event that you're taking your kids to, you're going to end up with kind of nothing. Like you weren't able to prepare for it. You weren't able to follow up on it. You get there and you go, oh, wait, this event is like a super in-depth thing on something of a part of theology that my church doesn't even agree with. Like, imagine you go to an event like that. Like, what purpose does it serve you?
Or think about it this way. If you go to an event that is designed for the lost, it's fun. I promise you, I really think your kids that know Christ are going to have fun. There's prizes that are given away. There's games that are played. And then between 12 a.m. and 6 a.m., and you might be like, oh, that's where you lost me. I get it. But I want you to remember, the event is not for you.
Well, you can also go, they actually have a new way that you can go. Some of the events will actually allow you to go to half the event and you leave after the rally.
Yeah. Right.
Don't do that.
Don't
go
do
to the
that.
whole thing.
That's right. It'd be like going to a birthday party and not showing up for cake. But
I would do that.
If you go to this event and you don't bring any lost students, then basically the gospel presentation is an interruption to your fun event.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the intention of it.
The intention.
Because hearing the gospel again is not a bad thing, of course.
No. And again, maybe you have kids in your youth group that don't know Christ and you think they know Christ. Okay, but regardless, then the evaluation on the event was, did we find it fun?
Yeah. No, you're right.
Not did we find it effective.
Yeah.
Not did it accomplish, the intention of what. And so again, it's like, listen, I want your kids to have fun.
Yeah.
But I got to be honest with you. Like,
I would encourage.
We're missing the opportunity to.
Yeah. I'd encourage you as youth leaders, look at it as a mission. Talk to your leader, like your student leadership, like the kids who are like leading in your youth group on those things. Like talk to them as if it's a mission. Like, you might have a 12 or 13-year-old who doesn't get it, and they're just like, yeah. Actually, I found that middle schoolers are more open to inviting their friends to stuff than high schoolers.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
You high schoolers out there, ready?
There's your challenge.
Here's the clip. Yeah. You high schoolers out there, set the example, set the tone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Leave the legacy in your youth group of, man, we care for people. Yeah. We're invited. This is not just for us.
Yeah. That's actually, we have one senior right now, and I've been very proud of how he's been leading in our youth group. And so
that's awesome.
I'll give him the props there. We should probably wrap up though and move on to.
So again, let me wrap around the corner. Okay, here's the deal. What is your responsibility as the youth pastor or youth leaders? Make sure you are communicating it in multiple different venues. When I say multiple different venues, yes, at multiple different times, but on your youth nights. Yeah. Announcements, preaching, small groups, outside. Yeah. Number 2, what's your responsibility with your kids? Help them to be gospel literate, gospel fluent, and that they have that gospel urgency. Yeah. And if you do those things, I don't think the next step will be the hardest step, which sometimes feels like the hardest step, which is getting your kids passionate about inviting the lost. Because I know there's some guys that are out there like, dude, are you kidding me? I'm pushing that button. I'm mashing on that thing. And kids are, listen, I get it. I get it. I'm not saying that this is a 1, 2, 3 easy bake oven. Yeah. But I'm saying if we're not doing those things, it's not going to turn out too well. Yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Well, I mean, on the topic of Reverb, it is time for small group. Josh, small group is an opportunity for us to just kind of lean in, maybe share some personal stories. And what better personal stories to tell than our experiences at Super Bowl with Reverb. And Reverb, yeah. What's like a key memory for you for the Reverb events? Well, like I said, they don't know this. The very first Super Bowl I ever went to, I was running the rally. Oh, like yeah. I was talking to the guy, Dave Lundeen, one of my heroes of the faith. Dave, love you. Don't know if you listen to this, but Dave, if you ever want to be on the podcast, you're welcome. And you're welcome to be on here. Not you're welcome. You're welcome. But yeah, I was like, Dave, I've never been at this event. I remember sitting in his kitchen and was like, Dave, I've never been. He's like, you got this. You'll be fine. But man, I got to run rallies for a long time. Yeah. And now I get to preach at them. And I get to do both. I get to run the rally in Orlando and I'm speaking at Rochester this year. Oh, are you? Oh, wow. Yeah. That'd be fun. Yeah, very, very cool. Yeah. What's one of your? It's easy to fly up to Rochester from Tampa too. Yeah. I looked up flights the other day. It's not bad. What's one of your core memories? Well, my core memory of Reverb, I mean, obviously like staying up late, you'd be at 6 a.m. stopping at McDonald's on the way back, and then you felt sick to your stomach by the time you were done because you were drinking Mountain Dew all night, and you just like fell asleep, but you like felt gross. Yeah. You'd sleep until 4 in the afternoon. And so, by the way, you should come to this event. Yeah. It's a blast. Like these are my favorite memories as a youth group. But I remember to
to no shock to people who know me well, I was the obnoxious kid on the bus.
No way.
On the drive home.
No way.
And I remember it's 6 a.m. and one of my friends dares me to take, the vuvuzelas?
Yeah.
And so I take the vuvuzela.
You were that kid.
At 6 a.m. and I get on, and I'm just, the whole night I've been playing it, I've been blowing it, and at 6 a.m. I go up and I blow it as hard as I can. And the girl in front of me, who's still, Emily, if you're listening, but
Emily, if you're listening and you want to be on the podcast,
yeah, no, but good family friends of ours, she turns around and just smacks the front of the vuvuzela.
Is that why your teeth are dented in?
And now my teeth, yeah, no, that's why I look like a horse. No, so she hit me and it just like went into my gums, and immediately it went from this is gonna be funny to I was in a bad mood, and then I fell asleep, and I remember being so obnoxious that I think it was the same night that my cousin Austin turned around and like shouted at me to stop making noise, because I was like with my friends, we were all goofing around, and Austin was younger, and
he was younger.
He was like 2 years younger than me at the time.
I would expect him to be older and be like, Josh, stop it.
No, he just had it. He was so tired.
Yeah.
He must have been like 13 years old, 14 years old.
Yep.
And I was, 16, obnoxious with my friends.
So one night,
yeah,
one reverb I spoke at, and I wish I have the picture on my Instagram.
Oh yeah.
But one night I led myself to Christ.
What do you mean?
Crazy story. So I'm at a reverb and I preach the gospel, and a kid named Kyle Gray makes the decision to trust Jesus as his savior.
That's so cool.
So that night, like 4 of his leaders were like, "You got to meet this kid. You got to meet this kid. You got to meet this."
He
kid.
wasn't messing. I thought
No,
it was like a joke.
And so like I got a picture with him, and I'm like, I was like, it was so cool. I was like, this is awesome. The night I led myself to Christ. So
that's funny.
Yeah, that was really, really cool.
Yeah.
Just there's so many.
Yeah.
One time last year, we were running the rally, and we realized we had some like extra time, so we did like this. Like we brought kids down, and the first out of 10 on each side the first 5 that made it, then stuck around, and then there was the first 3 that made it, and then there was the first 2 that made it, and then it was 1v1, and dude, it got all the way down to the last 3, 2, and I think we said the first one to sink like a half court shot, dude. It was awesome. It was fantastic.
It's such like just a high. Like it's just so much fun. And yeah, if you guys get the chance, don't miss out on Reverb, but also don't miss out on the mission of Reverb.
Yeah.
I don't think we can emphasize that enough.
No.
I mean, it is important. All right, guys. Well, if you haven't checked out Reverb yet, we encourage you to. Reverb.wol.org.
Yes.
Give you a list of all 13 venues. 12 of them are still upcoming.
Yeah.
You don't want to miss it.
Yeah. You got to get there. You want to be a part of that. I promise you this is bigger than you would ever want to pull off on your own.
Yeah.
So just like we're partnering with Dare to Share, partner with us, because we want to aid and connect with you in helping your students to reach their friends for Christ.
Check out more emails if you have any questions about the event. StackingChairsPod@wol.org. Stacking Chairs Pod on all of our social media. Make sure that you
stack those chairs.
That'll work still, right?
Yeah.
Because I just, and then you need to, and that'll work.
Those chairs.
Yeah, that'll work.
Are you going to leave all this in there too?
No, I'll cut this out.
So you're going to.
Do you want me to leave this in?
Please.
Because you feel bad because I left the other one in?